So my current event article is helping the child who doesn't fit in. It was posted on Psychology Today by Dr. Stephen Nowalki. He is a Chandler professor of psychology at Emory University, and he discusses how nonverbal language skills are very important to making friends nowadays. He talks about how having trouble fitting in is worse than it has been in the past, and how these nonverbal language skills are needed to make friends. He also kind of touches base with how these skills are taught informally by parents in the community through interaction and games. In the article, quoting him, he uses the term dyssemia, dys being the inability and then semia being signs. So the inability to know signs. So connecting to what we have learned in our textbook, I want to bring up the zone of proximal development, which is kind of a refresher, what a child can do versus the top of that zone being what they could do with assistance or what they can't do even with assistance. So kind of going back to that article, these nonverbal skills is a child not knowing when a person is angry. They can't read someone's face, or they can't read when someone is uncomfortable. If you're standing too close to somebody, we know, okay, maybe we need to take a step back. These kids don't know that. They don't know boundaries, and they can be seen as troublemakers. People can think that they're not as intelligent when they really are. They just don't understand. So kind of going back to the term of social referencing, which we talked about in chapter 7, which talks about how by 12 months a child should be able to kind of look at their parent in a new situation and be able to kind of react the same way that their parent would react. So these kids, they may have had that, but it's that they're having trouble with that now. And the main reason of this that Professor Nowalski talks about in his article is that ever since COVID, isolation is a big thing for kids. They're not having that face-to-face time that they used to. They're not going outside, they're spending time indoor, and they're on tablets, way more screen time. And we just talked about that in, right now in chapter 10, how it was only, I forgot what what exactly who said it, but it was from ages, I think 3 to 8 or 2 to 8, the screen time that should be allowed is 1 hour, and kids nowadays are getting way more than that. So they're not getting the face-to-face interaction that is needed. They're not socializing with other kids. They're socializing with a tablet, something that they can't talk to. They're just watching. So another thing is guided participation, which kind of goes back to how these skills are taught by our peers, our teachers, our parents, our grandparents, and they should be able to teach their kids informally just by their actions. They should be able to show the kids how to know, hey, this person looks sad, or what a sad face looks like, or what an angry face looks like. That's the better way to kind of phrase that. Another thing is modeling, where a kid models what they see. So I think a lot of it has to do is without that interaction, or their parents not interacting with them to kind of explain to them, hey, this is how things should see, or this is what a person does look like, or when they're sad, when they're happy, when they're angry. That kind of goes along with that. So overall, I really love the article. It's really informational, and I definitely think it connects to today, because kids nowadays are attached to their tablets, including a younger brother of mine who is constantly on it at the dinner table, everything, can't go without it. So I think it's very relevant to today, and I think that's definitely something that needs to be worked on, is screen time for kids, and being able to help them. And another thing in chapter 10 that was mentioned was that having more screen time than normal can affect your emotional regulation. It mentioned obesity, and it talked about maturity. So, you know, it affects your development, and that's a big thing. And this article was actually posted yesterday, so that's another reason why I thought it was great, and it's very relevant. So yeah, that is my current event.